Welcome to Exception Court TV, a series of dev tutorial videos brought to you by Kevin Holditch. Hey guys, hope you're good. In this episode, we're going to cover working with remotes in Git. Now before I cover exactly working with remotes, I just need to divert for a minute and just cover the difference between a centralized source control system and a distributed source control system. So I'm sure most of you are aware, if you work with SVN or TFS, you work on a machine, so workstation 1 here. When you make a change and you press commit, that goes up to the central repository, hence the name centralized version control. And if person B, working on workstation 2 down here, gets latest, they will get your change straight away, because every change, every time you commit, always goes to the central source repository. And so it's impossible for you to commit something and not share it with others. Now, if you compare that with a distributed source control system, such as Git, each person gets a complete copy of the repository. So when you commit, you just commit into your local repository. So you can commit, branch, merge, do anything you want, and all that's affecting is your local repository. So as you can see in this diagram, person 1 on workstation 1 has got their own repository, same person 2, and the same with person 3. Now the advantage of this model is that any operation you perform is very fast because you've got all the information on disk that you need, including all version history lookups, merging, etc. The only operations that take some or can take some time is pushing and pulling, and that is getting changes from another repository down into your repository. And that is what we're going to cover in this video. So for these examples, I'm going to use Bitbucket as my remote. So if you want to follow along with me at home and you haven't got a Bitbucket account, please pause the video and create one now. Okay, so once you've got your Bitbucket account, click Create to create a new repository. I'm just going to call this Demo Repository. And then just click Create Repository. I'm just saying this is private so other people can't get to it. So if you look here, Bitbucket gives you some help into how to add this. So you say, I have an existing project. So you can actually just copy this line of code from here and paste it into your terminal window. So I'm in the folder that we've been using throughout these video series. So if I just paste that command in, and all that will do is add the remote. So the next command I have to do is actually push up my repository up to the remote. Once you've done that, if you open gitx or git extensions and refresh it, you'll now see you had this new branch that's appeared that says origin master. Now this is the thing that confuses a lot of people about Git, but if you go back to our image here, and I'll put this on the left to explain this a bit more clearly, we can think of origin master as the version of the master branch in the server repository, this one up here where my mouse is, and master is our local copy of master. So we've got two sort of pointers at two different places in time, although at the moment they happen to be in the same place. One is the remote, in this case the remote that we set up in Bitbucket, and one is our local one. And I'm going to take you through how you move the pointers both to your local one and to the remote one. Okay, so if you bring up terminal again, you list a directory, ls, not git ls, you can see we've got A, B, D and E. Let's add another file, so let's touch f.txt, let's add f.txt, let's commit that. So this is a brand new commit. So let's put that as our message. Now we've done this, if we refresh gitx, you can see that master has moved up, but origin master has stayed where it is. That's because we haven't done anything on the server. All we've changed is our local version of the branch, as we've been doing up until now. So if you look at our distributed version control image here, you can see, imagine we were down here, we've literally committed here. We haven't touched, origin master's up here, we haven't touched this, we've just touched the local copy here. So to prove this, Let's open up the repository we just created, demo repository in Bitbucket. Click on the commits button on the left hand side here, and we can see now that this latest commit doesn't appear in our history on the remote, and that is because we haven't pushed the changes up. So I've given you a clue there as how you do this. If you want to push the changes up, you can type git push, where you're pushing to, and origin is a special name that the first remote gets. So that's like the master, or how's the best to explain it? The main source that everyone is going to push their changes up to. But that's an arbitrary name, just like master is as well. And then you give the name of the branch you want to push up there. So if I say git push origin master, that will push my local branch up to the origin server. And now, if I refresh Bitbucket, you'll be able to see that this is a brand new commit has appeared on Bitbucket. I'd just like to point out that the reason our remote server is called origin in this case is because when we set it up, you remember we added the remote and we called it origin up here. Okay, so we've covered setting up a brand new Git repository, but how do you start working on a repository that already exists? Well, that's simple also. All you need to do is grab the URI of the repository you want to work on, come to your terminal window, and if you look, I'm in a directory back from our original demo repository, so that's inside demo. So I'll come back a directory and you type git clone, paste in the URI of the Git repository you want to clone, and then optionally a folder that you want to clone it into. If you don't provide the folder parameter, it will automatically name it after the repository. So I'm going to call mine demo cloned. Now you can see here Git says cloning into demo cloned. So if I ls now, I've got two folders. I've got demo and demo cloned. So if I open those in Finder, you can see demo's got our files in, and so it has demo cloned, a complete copy of the repository. Let's open up both the demo repository and the demo cloned repository in gitx. This will allow us to watch a commit travel from one repository up to the remote and then back down again. So I'll show you how the push-pull model works in Git. So I'm going to come to terminal and I'm going to cd into the demo cloned repository, and then I'm going to add a new file, and I'm going to add it into Git, and then I'm going to commit it into Git. This is H. And now at this point, if you refresh both sides, you'll see that demo cloned has got the commit, this is H, but demo hasn't. And if we come up to Bitbucket and refresh Bitbucket, we'll see that Bitbucket hasn't either. This is because, as we showed in the distributed model, there's actually 3 copies of the repository. So all we've done is in demo cloned, we've committed the commit, this is H, to one of those repositories. So how do we push this up to the origin server? We simply do git push origin master, as I showed you before. And now if we refresh Bitbucket, we'll see the commit has appeared here. If we come to gitx, we'll see the commit still is not on the right hand side. And the reason for this is because you don't automatically get changes from the mask of the origin repository like you do in TFS. You have to explicitly say, give me the latest changes please. So to do that, if we come down a directory and then into demo, remember this is the one without file H. If you ls there, you see there's no H. We do git pull origin master. So the command makes sense. We're pulling the changes from origin into our master branch. And what Git actually does behind the scenes is it fetches all the changes down and merges the origin master branch into your local branch. Now because, as we saw in the branching and merging video, this is just a direct correlation, that is your master branch is just directly behind the one on the origin server. Git can simply do a fast forward. And once we've done this, we'll see now that origin master has moved up to master on here. Sorry, master has moved to origin master on there. And if we see gitx, will be exactly the same on both sides. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you found it useful. If you want to get in touch, I'd love to hear from you. You can tweet me @KevHolditch. You can visit my blog kevinholditch.co.uk, and you can subscribe to this channel by clicking the link down below. Cheers.